Before the fire, there was no sound, no breath, no pulse, only stone and endless grey. The world stood still, perfect and hollow, unmoved by time or thought. Then came the first flame, and from it, the first light, the first shadow, and the first sorrow in that moment. The world learned to die from the flame's faint edge. Something vast and quiet rose, not of the living, not of the gods. He came wrapped in the dust of the fallen, his body a tapestry of bones and silence. He was called Nito, the first of the dead. Where others sought to live forever, he embraced the stillness that follows life. He carried within him the weight of all who would ever die, and with that weight the world began to move. He did not speak. He did not command. He simply was the shadow of an age that had only just begun. When the gods found him, they did not understand his gift. To them, death was loss. To him, it was truth. So he carried it quietly, patiently, to the depths below the flame, to guard it, to nurture it, to ensure that even fire would one day sleep. For Nito knew what none of the others would admit, that every beginning is born only to end. When the first flame divided light from shadow, it gave shape to life and to its ending. From that ending came Nito, the first keeper of stillness, the quiet guardian of return. While Gwyn raised his lightning and Ezzelith her flame, Nito raised only silence. He did not seek dominion, he sought balance. Where the fire granted life its warmth, Nito gave it meaning, for what is life without the grace to end? He moved unseen beneath the warring heavens, a shroud beneath the brilliance of gods. When the war against the dragons began, he joined them not out of hatred, but duty. For even the eternal must learn to die, and with the power of his great soul, he unleashed death upon stone. A plague of decay, a breath of stillness that crept through the scales of dragons and turned their immortality to dust. The dragons fell, and the age of fire began. The world learned to burn, and the world learned to fade. But when the gods built their thrones in sunlight, Nito withdrew to the deep. He carried the ashes of the fallen to a realm beneath all realms, a sanctuary where even light would not intrude. There, among bones and whispers, he made his home. The Gravelord, the silent monarch, the eternal shepherd of all that ends. He did not mourn the dead. He welcomed them, each soul another note in his endless song of rest. And thus, while gods feared the dark and men feared death, Nito alone embraced both, for in his stillness he found the rhythm of all things, life, death, and the quiet that binds them. Deep beneath the living world, where light can no longer reach, there lies the Lord of Death. He does not rule from a throne. He does not wear a crown. He rests upon a mountain of bones, his body woven from the countless dead who came before. To look upon him is to see the shape of all endings, a form vast and hollow, made not of one life, but of many. Skulls whisper within his frame, and hollow eyes flicker faintly, as if remembering the faces they once were. He does not command the dead. He gathers them. Each soul that fades returns to him, drawn as leaves to winter, and in his quiet presence they find peace. The gods above feared him, for his power was not born of flame, but of acceptance. They sought to conquer death, to chain it, to delay its touch. But Nito did not resist their defiance. He knew their fire would one day fade, when he shared part of his great soul with the first flame. It was not to preserve life, but to preserve the balance, so that every birth, would still carry the promise of an end, and every end would make room for what follows. To Nito, death was not an enemy. It was the final kindness. He spoke no words, for his silence was his truth. And when the dead gathered in his tomb, they did not kneel. They rested, for in the stillness of his presence, even sorrow learned to sleep far beneath the catacombs of Lordran. Beyond the reach of all light, there lies a place untouched by time, a cavern vast as eternity itself, the tomb of the giants. No fire burns there, no wind stirs, only the sound of breathless earth and the faint murmur of bones shifting in the dark. This is Nito's domain, a kingdom of silence, where even the gods dare not tread. The walls glisten with ancient marrow, and rivers of ash flow like veins beneath the stone. The dead walk here, but they do not wander. They move as if guided by memory, drawn gently toward the pulse that hums at the tomb's heart. It is the rhythm of Nito's soul, slow, deep, and eternal. Those who die in distant lands, those whose names are long forgotten, their ashes still hear that call. And they come, not in body, but in essence, drawn to rest beneath his endless vigil, when a soul reaches his domain. There is no pain, no judgment, no fear. They simply cease, and in ceasing, they become. The giants who guard his tomb were once mortals too, their hearts long stilled by devotion. They do not serve, they remember. For in the shadow of Nito's presence, even memory turns to peace. Many who enter never return, not because they are slain, but because they have been accepted. It is said that if you stand within that darkness long enough, you can hear it, the faint echo of the world breathing its last, and the voice of Nito, whispering not in words, but in the stillness between them. For a time, death was mercy. It came softly, without cruelty, without anger. Souls passed into Nito's care, and the world remained in balance. But mercy is fragile, and as the flame began to fade, the hearts of men grew restless. They feared the silence that followed life, and began to reach for what was never meant to be held. The necromancers were the first. They stole from Nito's domain, pulling the dead from their rest, binding their bones with false flame. They whispered that death could be commanded, that the power of the grave could serve the living. Their theft tore holes in the veil. Souls that should have slept were forced to linger. Bodies moved without spirit, and spirits wandered without home. Thus was born the curse of the undead, the shadow of a death denied. The cycle that Nito had tended with such quiet care was broken. The god of death withdrew deeper into his tomb, his silence heavy with sorrow. The dead still came to him, but now they carried confusion instead of peace. They no longer remembered how to rest. Even the gods above defied his law. Gwyn burned himself to prolong the fire, twisting the order of endings into something unnatural. And in doing so, he trapped every soul, neither living nor dead, forever circling the fading flame. Death itself had been betrayed, its keeper forgotten, its song drowned by the screams of those who refused to sleep. And so Nito, the silent lord, became a prisoner in his own sanctuary. He did not rage. He did not weep. He simply closed his hollow eyes and let the bones of the world settle around him once more. For he knew that no theft, no flame, no defiance could silence death forever. In the deep places of the world, where no song can reach, Nito remains. He does not speak. He does not move. He simply endures the stillness beneath all things. The gods who once feared him are long gone, The flame they kindled has dimmed to cinders, yet Nito's presence has not waned. For death does not fade with time. It is time. Around him, the dead have gathered into eternity. Giants and kings, warriors and wanderers, all rest within his reach. They are not prisoners. They are home. He does not demand their devotion. He offers only silence, and in that silence, peace. No judgment, no promise, no need for forgiveness. The necromancers who once stole his power are now dust upon his floor. Their defiance forgotten, their arrogance stilled. Only the echo of their folly remains, like faint wind through hollow skulls. Sometimes the earth trembles, not from anger, but remembrance. A reminder that death still breathes beneath the soil, that even in ruin, its rhythm endures. The people of Lordran no longer speak his name, but the bones beneath their feet remember him. Every tomb is a prayer in his language. Every silence, a hymn to his truth. He is not evil. He is not kind. He is simply necessary, and in the quiet between lives, when even the fire sleeps, it is Nito who waits, patient as stone, gentle as the end. In the end, when all light fades, and even the echo of fire grows cold, only Nito will remain, not as a god, not as a memory, but as the stillness that follows every heartbeat. He will not rise. He will not weep. He will simply open his hollow eyes and welcome the last soul home. For Nito was never the enemy of life. He was its answer. Where life burns with hunger, death cools with grace. Where fire devours, silence restores. He is the pause between breaths, the moment after a final sigh, the shadow not cast by light, but borne beside it. When the gods clung to eternity, Nito did not reach for it. He knew that all things must pass, the flame, the flesh, even the soul itself. And in that knowing, he found what no god ever could. Peace. His body of bones will one day crumble. His name will fade from stone. But his presence will linger, soft and invisible, woven through the dust of every grave. And when the final fire dies, and the world exhales its last breath, his song will rise, not in words, but in silence. For the end is not darkness, it is release, the return to the quiet before all things began, and there, in that perfect stillness, Nito will rest, the first and the last, the Lord of endings, the keeper of peace. He will not fade, for fading is a sorrow of the living. He will not die, for death is his eternal breath. He will simply remain, as he always has, as he always will, and so the fire dimmed once more,